So one thing I'll be doing occasionally on my YouTube channel, in addition to my weekly episode set of 6 series on the Warriors in the NRL season 2024, is bringing you a full interview. Now this interview is with David Moffett, a former CEO of the NRL and a former CEO of New Zealand Rugby. He's a very experienced administrator, and he's announced a bid to get a second NRL team into New Zealand, this one to be based in Christchurch, called the South Island Kea. It's one of 2 bids, incidentally, coming out of the Garden City at the moment. So I hope you enjoy this interview. If you can like and subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate that. It will help me getting interviews like this into the future. So I started by asking David, it's been a couple of weeks since he announced the bid. What sort of reaction and feedback has he had?
Oh, it's been phenomenal. We've had all sorts of people saying, where can we buy the jersey? Can I buy a cap? And as I said, we've been going 2 weeks, and the number of people that have actually held up their hands and said, we'd like to help, on a pro bono basis has been phenomenal. And of course, I've got a maxim, which is that I will surround myself with people who are better than me. And that, I don't just say that, I do it. And so I've been talking to a lot of people, and we're going to be, and I'm focusing mostly on the people at the moment that are going to be, putting this whole bid together, because I think that's the most important part of it.
Fantastic. So where are things right now, David? I mean, you've announced the team. What are your immediate challenges from here, say, for the next 6 months?
Okay, the immediate challenge is to get the team together that are going to form the bid team. Also to get some funding, and we're talking to people as we speak, but we won't make any announcements about our funding partners until such time as they're in the bank, because I don't think it's fair to tell people, oh, we'll be doing this, that, and the other thing. And so those are the challenges. The other thing too is that I've been in contact with Peter Vlandis by email, and I'm hoping to set up a meeting with him and Andrew Abdo. I've met Andrew Abdo before, but not in this context, so that we can just I'll slip across to Sydney, and we can explain to him what our bid's going to look like. But the issue, of course, is that for Peter and the Commission is to determine when they're going to open up bids for another franchise and what that might look like. So the point that I would make here is we are going to, having a huge amount of experience in this area, myself and all the other people involved, we're going to be ready to go in 2026. Now, if they open it up for 2026 and Papua New Guinea seems to be the front runners at the moment, our argument will be take 2 teams, and perhaps take 3 teams, get to your 20 teams as soon as you can, because we're going to be ready to go.
Talk me through the ownership structure. I mean, you mentioned last week you were hoping to talk about, you're hoping, or you're looking at it anyway, a fan kind of buy-in. How do you see
Yes.
that working in the early stages, David?
Okay, so it's going to be a hybrid cooperative model. So the fans will own a percentage of the shares, and investors and people like myself will own other shares. But the fans are going to be able to buy a share, and the details of that are not yet known. You would also have seen that I'm working with Ros Henry, who recently departed CEO of Cooperatives Business New Zealand, and she's just a huge asset for us to have as we go down this path, because there's no other rugby club or rugby league club that I'm aware of. Yeah, fans might be able to buy shares, but they're not part of a cooperative, and there's none other anywhere in the world that has done this. And it was actually something that I suggested that the NZIU look at prior to them going with Silver Lake, and they dismissed it. So that's fine, but we're not, because guess what, mate? The fans are the most important element of any sports team, and I don't care which sports team it is, because the fans, they're the people that pay for everything. Every single touch point, you're relying on the fans to pay for it.
Well, we see that with the Warriors at the moment, don't we? I mean, they're very fan-engaged, the organisation at the moment. The Green Bay Packers is an interesting little example. Is that kind of where you're thinking this kind of structure, without knowing the ins and outs of the Green Bay Packers kind of arrangement? They've got a big fan buy-in there too, haven't they?
Yeah, they do. And it's interesting. They're the only team that does, and they compete with billionaires. 31 other billionaires in the NFL. The other area where it's very strong is in the Bundesliga. Every team there has what they call a 50 plus one ownership, which is 50% plus one share owned by the fans. So it's not, so that sort of ownership structure is not new in sport, but it is brand new in rugby and rugby league. And I've been working with some experts in this field up in the UK now for what, about 12 months or so, as well as with Roz. And these are experts in the whole area of sports funding. Mostly they've been involved in football, but now they're really excited about the whole concept of cooperatives in sport.
I know you probably haven't looked at it deeply yet, David, but do you think there are enough fans, not just in Canterbury, but maybe in New Zealand that are, and maybe worldwide, that there are going to be enough fans for you to succeed with this idea?
Oh, absolutely. And then, one of the funny things, Glenn, is that people are already talking about the Kea. You know, it's already been reduced down, from South Island Kea to the Kea. We're South Island Kea, but the fact decided that, this is going to be their team and they're going to be calling it the Kea. So I've had to actually go and register the domain name, the Kea.co.nz, mate, just so somebody else doesn't go and pinch it. So, but it's moved so fast, mate. This is the thing. And I've made a couple of mistakes on the way, because we have moved so fast. It took us 48 hours to assemble all that stuff, the media, which was part of that launch, right? And then we launched it. Um, and uh, I'm hopefully going to be having a meeting with Linwood Kia to talk to them. It's a rugby league team here in Christchurch, and also to Naitahu, because it's terribly important that we get their buy-in to what we're doing. But talking to Tiffany from the Save the Kea Foundation, she's she's hugely supportive of us and all of the imagery that we've produced, which we think is, shows great respect for what the Kea represents to Naitahu, but also to the whole of New Zealand. It doesn't matter if you're North Island. Everybody's had they've seen a Kea, they've seen they're a bit of a nuisance, all that sort of thing. This is what we intend to be, mate. We're
Yes.
going to be a nuisance.
Oh, I think we all love Kia. We love getting our, if we're up in the mountains down in the South Island, getting our sandwiches pinched by Kia. It's awesome. Hey, tell me about the dialogue. I know you mentioned some emails with Peter V'landys. What was his reaction
Well,
when you contacted him?
I haven't had that so far. I mean, I'm hoping to be able to do that. We won't be, overtly saying, mate, you've got to give us it, and all that sort of thing, because they're going to take the best bid. Peter V'landys and the Commission will take the best bid, and there'll be a lot of criteria. A large one's going to be the ability to ensure that we are not going to fold after 12 months or anything like that. So we're going to be able to actually say, well, we know what we're doing. We've got a lot of experience in this area, and we'll provide them with a compelling bid. When you have a look at when we assemble all of our partners. The thing I think is just to go and talk to Peter just about how it came about, and what we hope to achieve, but also what we hope to achieve with the NRL, and also down here, I mean, and this is going to encompass all of the Pacific Island and the Maori, and we got to stop to a small extent, because we can't employ 100 players, but this move across the ditch, for all the players, 55% of the players playing in the NRL are Pacific Islanders and Maori. So we want to stop that. We want them to come across a shorter ditch, which is the Cook Strait. Okay.
Well, you'll have a new stadium by then, won't you? Which is
Oh,
a
mate.
big selling point for the NRL, right?
I met with the stadium yesterday, and as I said, we've moved so fast, and I was very impressed with what they're doing, and the stadium's already out of the ground. You can see the skeleton of it already in Christchurch. Such a close walk to the city centre. It's going to have a roof on it, and it's going to take 25 up to 30,000. I mean, let me just say, if I could sell the Kia versus the Warriors uh, as the opening game in 2026 in that new stadium, if I could put those tickets on sale now, I'd sell 50,000 tickets, right? But you think about that, and I'm positioned. I'm already having a bit of a go at the Jaffas, because because I want this huge rivalry to start today, okay? And this is going to be the equivalent. The games against the Warriors will be the equivalent of State of Origin in Australia. And mate, the South Island, North Island, Canterbury, Auckland thing, and we're gonna go hell for leather on that as hard as we can.
Yeah, look, and just finally, David, it's really interesting you mentioned that Warriors Raiders game. This is the second game this year that the Warriors have sold out in Christchurch, which is quite incredible. Now, I watched I had a little sneaky look at the Hurricanes Crusaders game the other day, and I saw plenty of spare seats for that game. The Warriors have sold this stadium out twice. It's obviously a big vibe in rugby league down in your neck of the woods at the moment, eh?
Well, I think there is, and you know why that is? Because there's a big vibe around rugby league. Just generally speaking. That the whole thing about that going to Vegas. A lot of people said, "Oh, there weren't many people watch it in America," but that wasn't the point. The point was it set record crowds back in the home market to watch it. I've seen figures about, at its peak, about 2.6 million people were watching this game, in Australia. And that's pretty good, mate, to be perfectly honest with you. And of course, Peter Blandage is a super smart guy, and he's gone over there, and he wants to get the turnover to 1 billion, and I think part of that is going to come from the enormous uptake in online betting in the United States, which is just taken off. So yeah, no, but the incredible viewership back in Australia and New Zealand. I mean, it's outstanding. And did you see any of the games on the weekend, mate? I mean, full houses. The rugby league was astonishing. It's on a high.
Yeah, it's going gangbusters, and it's really cool that you want to be part of it again, David. So, look, mate, thanks very much for having a chat to me. I wish you all the best. I think all rugby league fans in New Zealand wish you all the best. Fingers crossed you can get it off the ground down there, mate, because it'll be a wonderful addition to the NRL if you can get the Kea up and running.
And it's most likely been my last gig, mate, so I'm giving it 1,000%.